Hi, I'm going to open with a quote. This is from the late 20th century ethnobotanist and raconteur Terence McKenna. He speaks of the syntactical nature of reality. Syntax, I'm sure you know, is how information is organized. So programming languages, of course, have syntax, but so do human languages. In fact, it's not just grammar, but things like punctuation, how we organize information. There's a lot of ways to interpret this quote. I'll come back at the end if I have time. I have titled this talk, The Stories We Tell Ourselves, because it's about storytelling, and you know me, I like my stories, so of course it is story time, and I have not one, not two, but 3 stories. So let's move fast, because there's a lot to go through. Number 1, it's a fable. There once was a beautiful and powerful queen who reigned over a beautiful and powerful queendom. And then one morning she goes out of the palace and she's walking barefoot into the soft soil, literally touching grass, which is great for your mental health. And bang, she stubs her toe on a rock. She is in incredible pain. She enters a furious rage and in a fit of pique commands that the whole queendom be covered in leather. So everyone scuttles away to execute the wishes of the beautiful and powerful queen. And the next day, the chief of staff has a word with the council, and he says, "Your Highness, it's not good news, I'm afraid. I'm very sorry. I've run the numbers, and we don't have enough leather in the queendom to cover the queendom in leather. In fact, we don't even have enough cows to make the remaining leathers, and it's just not feasible." But we brainstorm some ideas, and okay, work with me on this, right? I'm going to blue sky think it. But, Your Highness, perhaps instead of covering the whole realm in leather, we could cover your feet in leather. So, the stories we tell ourselves. We think that things outside of us, right, events in the outside world affect us, but really, it is the way we relate to those events that affect us. And this is something we have much more control over than the outside world. It's the stories we tell ourselves. Number 2, this is a true story. Meet George Dantzig. He is an American mathematician, born in 1914 to Jewish immigrants. He made significant contribution to the field of mathematics, the kind of math that doesn't use numbers, like things like operational research, linear optimization. He was awarded the National Medal of Science, the highest scientific award in the US for, in this instance, outstanding contribution in mathematics. But what I really like about him is his moustache, which I'll refer to as the math stache. Now, the year is 1939. We are at the University of California, Berkeley, and a young George Dantzig, already rocking an early version of the math stache, who's a PhD student at the time, and he arrives late at a lecture in statistics. And he sees 2 problems written on the board, and he writes them down, and he thinks it's the homework, and he goes home and tries to solve the problems. He says they seem to be a little harder than usual, and when he comes back with the work the next week to his PhD advisor, this is where he learns that those two problems written on the board were not the homework, they were unsolved problems of mathematics, of statistics. But because he didn't know, he was able to solve them. It seemed a little bit harder than usual. That's why Dantzig is known as the real Will Hunting. Will Hunting, after the 1990s, the movie with Matt Damon, genius janitor at the university, solves the problem on the board, etc. It's a good film, that's worth watching. Conclusions? The stories we tell ourselves. The way you frame the problem as you approach it matters to your ability and aptitude at solving the problem, right? It's just the way you approach things. Now, you might argue, in the case of George Dantzig, that it involves some degree of deception, either voluntary or involuntary, from someone else or something, but, sometimes, if it works. Okay, number 3. This one's also a true story, because it happened to me. Now, as you know, I've got my little kittens in year 7, but this year I'm very proud because I get my cubs. My cubs are my year 10s. So in my first class of year 10, I'm going to take all through the GCSE. I'm very happy about it because not only am I going to teach them the dark arts, I will also teach them the darker arts. And in their first programming lesson, they impressed me so much that I kind of set them this extension as a problem. It's a classic programming problem for programming job interviews, for instance, right? Right, I give them pointers, I kind of even scaffold it because I'm thinking, yeah, it's probably going to be a bit hard for them. And then I leave the lesson and, sorry, it's too soon. Ignore this for a bit. I leave the lesson and I'm thinking, well, that's way too hard for them. They're going to struggle, they're going to get discouraged, they're probably going to be, pushed to cheat and find some code online. And indeed, this is what came back. Now this pointer, this uses a class which is object-oriented programming, something I am just now teaching to year 12. So of course it's a case of great artist steal. But that was great because I didn't punish them. I knew this was coming. I would have done the same thing. This was an opportunity for me to tell them and to tell you, right, that when we set work, what doesn't matter is not the result, right? It's not the product, it's the process. It's about the journey, not the destination. It's about the work and the friends you make along the way or whatever. But yeah, it's that. And also, if you give the teacher, if you just think going through school is about giving the teacher what they want, just to get them off your back, which can't blame you from that. I can't really blame you for that view. The problem is if you give them a perfect thing rather than I scaffolded them and they could have told me I've only got up to number 2, number 4. Right? You don't give them the good information as to how they can support you in your learning. So I thought that, yeah, lesson, bad idea setting that problem, but in fact it was an opportunity for me to kind of go over this and say, look, it's not. And to be fair, also some of them did solve it. So that's the thing with computer science. There's a breadth of aptitude. Yeah, another quote from well, it's not another quote. Yeah, it is another quote. This one is from The Martian. Which was brought to the screen also with Matt Damon. You see, we've come full circle. So, the stories we tell ourselves, the way we frame or reframe the problem, the way we relate to the world around us and to the events in the world around us, the story we tell ourselves about this and that and how it relates. Someone gives you a bad look and you start making a whole story about why maybe they're having a bad day or just what. It's just a story to ourselves. But, and this actually is mindset, right? But if I'd started with this, right, you would have kind of said, I know about this. You wouldn't have perceived it in the same way because we taught you a lot about growth and fixed mindset and I can't do it yet. Fair enough. But everything is mindset because it's the mind is how we operate in reality. So to finish, I'm going to finish with a cover, as it were. So in stand-up comedy, you don't really cover other people's material, but this is a quote from the great Bill Hicks, legendary revolutionary comedian, and it goes a little something like this. The world is like a ride in an amusement park, and when we choose to go on it, we believe it's real, because this is how powerful our minds are. The ride goes up and down, around and round, it has thrills and chills, and is very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun. For a while. Some people have been on this ride for a long time and they started to question it and started to think, is this real or is this just a ride? And other people have come back, they've remembered and they've come back to us and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid ever, because it's just a ride. And we kill those people. Shut him up. I've got a lot invested in this ride. Shut him up. Look at my furrows of worry. Look at my big bank account. Look at my family. This has to be real. But no, it's just a ride. And always kill the good guys that want to tell us this and let the demons run amok. You ever noticed? But it doesn't matter because it's just a ride, and we can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. Just a simple choice right now between fear and love. The eyes of fear wanted to put bigger locks on your door, buy guns, close yourself off. The eyes of love, instead, see us all as one.